tight race. For more on this, we turn to John Johnson with Edgeworth Economics and the author of the book Everydata, and he's talking about what we saw last week.
Well, we saw two things. First, current state of the race in the national polls, much tighter than it was just a month ago. The Real Clear Politics average now has Hillary Clinton in the lead about 2.7 points overall. A few things to be aware of. Last week was interesting because we started to see a slight turn. There had been sort of this movement towards Trump. First time that some polls are starting to show a little bit of a stabilizing, maybe a slight shift back towards Clinton. That's kind of something to watch in the next few weeks.
Looking forward, what do we expect to see as we inch closer to this election?
Well, what's interesting right now and what really happened, which I think has pollsters and just the general media interested, is that where in the month of August, right after the conventions, we had very consistent polling, everything pointing the exact same direction, fairly large lead. Now what we're starting to see is quite a dispersion in the results. In other words, whether you do a poll online, whether you see some of these daily tracking polls, or even whether you see just sort of the traditional national polls, we're seeing kind of a wider range, some that have Clinton up 5, 6, 7 points, some that have Trump up by a point. So we're starting to see a much wider range, which also makes it harder to interpret, well, what does all this data mean? So what I think we need to be looking for in the next few weeks with the debates coming up is a bit of stabilizing, getting more data in, and really starting to get a read on whether the race is going to tighten or whether it's going to swing back towards Clinton the way it looked in August.
All right, all this said with Labor Day last week, you say we need to be careful how much emphasis we give to polls during a popular vacation weekend. Talk about that.
People are away, and they're not necessarily focused on the election. So although there was this sort of tightening of the race, some of the major national polls actually weren't coming out during that point in time, and it is harder to get good data during that point in time. So we just have to be a little bit careful to interpret, the quality of the polls, the quality of the pollsters also affects the results. So some of this wide dispersion and sort of variation in the results could just be coming that sort of our traditional polling organizations weren't as active during the Labor Day holiday.
And that was John Johnson. He's with Edgeworth Economics.